Hey guys, Kev here, and I want to do my knife of the year for the 500 and up category. So this is going to be the last category. I was going to do a custom knife category, but they kind of jumble in with this category and debating whether something's custom or not. It's just not worth it. So I'm just going to do 500 and up, and then I'll do a separate video where I take the winner from each of the categories, budget, 100 to 250, 250 to 500, 500 and up, and then we'll see who the overall knife of the year is. So that'll be fun. One honorable mention real quick is, and I'm sure I'm missing some stuff. Actually, I'll name a couple things, but honorable mention I'm thinking of is my Gavco Nurse Custom. Absolutely love my custom Nurse. It's one of my favorite knives. Top 5, top 3 possibly. But one, it's custom. 2, I got it this year, but I'm pretty positive it was made like last year sometime. He's been making the Nurse for a long time, so it doesn't really count. Some of these that I'm about to show you may have come out last year, but they're new to me this year, so I don't know, I'm kind of being sort of hypocritical there, but I didn't want to put the Nurse in there. It's basically a handmade custom. So I don't know. Well, whatever. Anyway, it's an honorable mention. Very nice knife. I had some customer service issues with Gavco, and I had to do a lot of work to that knife. I asked him to strengthen the detent. I swapped the bearings. I had to get the knife modders to carbonize the lock face, and all those things finally made it a great knife for me. But, out of the box, so to speak, even though it wasn't, it just wasn't, as good. So anyway, honorable mention there, Holt Haptic. I don't know if that came out this year. I had 2 of them this year. Absolutely really love the build quality and all of the things about the haptic, the action once you get it dialed in and everything. But the detent just a little too stiff to constantly fidget with for me. I didn't find that detent adjustment system did anything, honestly, in my opinion. I had 2 of them. And the flipper tab's a little pokey, and it just, I don't know. Flipper only as well, that kind of hurts it. So that would definitely be in the running. And I think that's it. There's probably plenty more that I had. Oh, the Slim Midi, guys. That's another one that's been out for a while. Absolutely was one of my favorite knives this year. I'm not going to lie about that. I did end up selling both of the ones I had. But I loved that knife for a long time, and I still have an admiration for it. But the materials for what you pay, and just overall being so right-handed, and I don't know, I just ended up moving on. But it was for sure one of my favorite knives this year in this 500 plus category, and that takes us to number 5. Now, I don't have this knife anymore, but it totally deserved to be in the running, so I want to pull a picture out. It's the first time I've ever done this. I printed this out just now, and I have a shitty printer. I basically use it for printing shipping labels. So, pardon the picture, but this is the Hoback Sumo, guys. I picked up my Sumo, which was in this configuration at Blade Show, and I absolutely fell in love with that knife. You guys know I had an absolute blast with that thing. I had it for a long time. I carried it so much. I used it so much. It literally was one of my favorite knives through the summer and into the fall. And I eventually did sell it. And I'll explain why. But the action on this thing is incredible. It's a button lock, obviously. Has an excellent detent, so to speak. You have so many deployment methods. You have the fuller, you have thumb stud, you have a tiny little flipper tab you can use, you have the button. It's ergonomic. It has an excellent 20 CV blade with a beautiful satin grind on this version. Titanium handles. I did swap the bearings out because it runs on, I believe it ran on steel bearings, but I could be wrong. They could have been ceramic. Actually, I think they were ceramic, but I still swapped them. And it helped, but the action was incredible out of the gate. Problems were the first few batches. I believe in the newer ones they did correct this, but I don't have one of those. The clip was an absolute just misfire. It was a huge hotspot. It was so pokey for right-handers, and even as a lefty, it bothered me. So I ended up having it modded to just round it off, and it worked fantastically. Never had an issue again. Loved this knife. Now, the reason I sold it, the only reason I sold it, guys, I was so torn by it because I love this knife so much. The thumb studs. They basically made these thumb studs so that it could Emerson deploy out of your pocket. And I carried it in my back left pocket at all times, and almost every time I took it out of my pocket, it would like deploy halfway or all the way. And when you're in your truck just driving around, you want to pull your knife out the fidget and your knife freaking flips out and it's fully deployed and you're driving, like, I don't know. It just bugged the shit out of me that it constantly happened. I don't know of many people that complain about that, and I think that's because most people are right-handed and they carry it in their front right pocket where they can control the angle a little better coming out of pocket. But out of your back left pocket, you're just reaching and pulling, right? And you're going to naturally kind of pull it out towards the side, and that's why that would happen. But that's the reason why this knife did not make it any higher and why I don't have it anymore. But I have a huge admiration for the Hoback Sumo. It's still one of my favorite knives of 2021. Just an absolute gem. I think Hoback did a great job. These come in at around $550 retail. Okay, so number 4 is actually a new acquisition. I've had it for maybe 2 weeks now, and I am in love, guys. This is the CKF Satori 2.0. And again, I believe the original model came out last year. And maybe it was earlier this year, actually. I had one. And I sold it because the detent was just super weak. And that was kind of a running theme with CKF this year. And it seems like they are listening now. This is actually a special edition that just came out. And you can see this is number 21. This was made this month. So this is definitely a new knife from 2021. And this is a DLC handle. So black wash DLC with a satin grind. So instead of having a stone washed with satin flats, it's a belt satin on the grind and then horizontal satin on the flats and then DLC on the handles. This thing is an absolute gem, guys. If I had had more time with it, it may have climbed even higher up this list. It's just unbelievable. They really dialed in this detent. Just really, hear that click? Totally different detent than they had on the original because I loved it. But my biggest issue was the detent was just so light that you could try to do the flipper and it would just go flip, 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 just kind of like flop in and out. Now you can't fail this knife. So it's just such a better knife now with that detent, corrected. And I'm just falling back in love with this thing. And again, partially recency bias, but that's how it goes, right? I am actually having a custom clip made so that it'll come over to the frame instead of land on the clip. And I'm going to have it elongated out to here so that as a lefty, hopefully I'll be able to kind of climb down here and just do a reverse flick. We'll see. But as is, this is one of my favorite knives to come out this year. It really snuck in at the end here. The action is just incredible. You have, obviously, titanium integral with M390 blade. It's just gorgeous. It's a Peter Rossetti design, of course. He only does integrals, it seems. And it is an absolute guillotine. There's no play in any direction. I mean, it's a tank, and it still just drops shut. CKF nails it, dead centered. This is a $640 knife retail, so it's definitely not cheap. I believe the parts are made in China, and then it's assembled in Russia. That's kind of how it goes with CKF. But you get really the highest quality products from them. I really enjoy CKF products. My biggest issue with them has been detents just being light, and it seems again like they are adjusting that. So this is the CKF Satori 2.0 coming in at number 4 for the 500 and up category. Now, these top 3 are absolute gems. All of them are interchangeable, really. I go back and forth when people ask me, what is your favorite knife? I go back and forth between these 3. If you asked me last week, I said one. If you asked me the next week, I say the other. But I put these in order of the most consistent knives, or the most consistent order of how I've kind of perceived them as my favorites, if that makes sense. These ultimately probably are my top 3 knives in the collection as well. So it's, you know, I am a little bougie. I do like knives that are cheaper. It just turns out I really like these 3. Number 3 is the Trevor Burger LEXK CFL. This is a custom knife, and again, that's why I kind of balked a little bit with the Gavco Nurse, because I believe this is actually hand-assembled, handmade by Trevor Burger, but I believe there has to be some CNC work done here, because, I mean, there's a lock bar insert, there's a lot going on, but hey, you never know. This has just become one of my favorite knives. The day I got it, it bit me. It stabbed me between the webbing really good. It went about this deep, and it hurt like hell. I was spraying blood in my truck, and we have bonded ever since. This knife is incredible. The only thing it doesn't do is drop shut. It drops to your nail, but it just doesn't drop shut. The just details on this knife are absolutely stunning. This one has this carbon fiber weave pattern inlay. It's one thing I would change is I wish this was like fat carbon or something, but it's still absolutely gorgeous. Look at the milling work just all over the handle scales. That pivot has that ano on it. It is all T6 construction, but the tooling is excellent, so it's okay with me. I don't prefer it, but it works. I've taken this apart a bunch of times. You have a hand satin blade, just absolutely my favorite hand satin I've ever seen. Normally, I do not like a hand satin because it prints really easy, and I just prefer a belt satin in terms of looks as well, but this knife is just gorgeous. It has a full hollow grind. It's the most exceptional blade I think I've ever handled or seen. Just feeling how that hollow grind starts at the spine and goes all the way down and thins out. You can't see it on camera, but it's a hollow grind, and it is so epic. It's not even funny. Beautiful spear point. No jimping or anything crazy up here. You have a little bit back here from the front flipper. And on the lock side here, sorry, my kid's monitor went off. She's going to sleep. Lock side here, you have the milling pattern again. This beautiful blue ano clip. Just all around, this thing is gorgeous. This backspacer is perfectly aligned. Everything about this knife is just beautifully, machined or detailed, or however you want to talk about it. The aesthetic is gorgeous. The ergonomics are perfect for my hand. I have a large glove size hand. It just fits my hand so well. It cuts so well. That hollow grind comes down to a ridiculously thin edge, and then you have the action. Trevor Burger has the smoothest pivots in existence. I have never handled another knife that is smoother than this. I've handled some very smooth knives, and the next one up is one of them. But this just, I don't know, it's on another planet. It is literally like there's nothing in there. He has polished that pivot, polished the blade. Like, everything is just perfect. The detent on this, perfect. It absolutely fires out of there. Acoustically, this thing makes some of the most amazing sounds. on a knife I've ever heard. And then you can drop it to your nail, and then it's just a very smooth shake close. It's not going to drop shut, but that's because the detent is so good on the open. It's lock bar pressure. It's just something you got to deal with. I tried all types of bearings. Nothing worked. Another thing about the top 3, 4, even 5 here, anything really in this category should be dead nuts centered. Like, you're just going to get perfect centering. You know, you're going to get really good details, finish work, everything's smooth. Like, that's the thing. That's what you're paying for in this category. I believe this was $860 new. I got this one from African Custom Knives, who I would absolutely discourage you from using. They are the absolute worst when it comes to customer service, as in they never even respond. So I reached out to them because I had a question about the COA. They listed this as M390. The COA said LMAX. I emailed them like 4 times. They never responded once. I tried multiple methods, never got a response. So I just can't recommend them. Even though their shipping was good, it came with a little like elephant toy or something. But I just can't recommend them because you can't get a hold of them. Anyway, the action's incredible. The knife itself is incredible. You have that front flipper, easy to catch. It, if you can tell here, the jimping goes up and around, which is what we want to see. You just catch it so easily. You can also reverse flick this knife partially because of that hollow grind. So it's actually deeper here than it is at the top of the blade. So your finger gets in there a little bit, flies right out. It literally feels like it was made to middle finger flick. I love this knife so much. This is a Trevor Burger LEXK CFL coming in at number 3. Number 2, guys, this one is an absolute gem, and man, it's hard to even put these top 3 in an order, but this is the Oz Machine Company Roosevelt. Again, I believe this knife and the Trevor Burger may have come out earlier than 2021, but they were new to me in 2021. I didn't know about them before then. I got them in 2021, so even the second half of 2021. So I'm counting them as 2021 knives. My channel, you know how it goes. This knife is absolutely incredible. It's just, I mean, look at it. It's gorgeous. It has golf putter milling and this beautiful green ano on all of the hardware. And then it has this black Damascus clip that's been anodized to match that hardware. Just absolutely stunning in my opinion. You have a stonewash blade of Z-Finite steel, which is LC200N. You have a mirror polished edge, which it comes with. I just strapped this up. Actually, it's hair shaving sharp now. The ergonomics on this knife are the reason it is just so beloved, I think. The looks, the ergos, American made in Indiana by Daniel Osborne. Just, I mean, it's just an incredible knife. The action flies out of there. He uses this amazing double detent system. We can zoom in and take a look at it. He uses this double detent system. So there's 2 detent balls in there. And that's how it obviously closes when, locks up when closed, sorry. And then it opens up. And I believe it pops onto a lock bar, actually, not onto the balls. I can't be certain. Or a lock bar insert, maybe. It just has a very unique way of deploying and locking up. The detent on mine is absolutely money. The newer ones have a lighter detent, but they drop shut. So it's a trade-off. And I have reached out to Oz Machine Company to see if he could update this to the new kind of detent, but I also kind of want to leave it alone. It's a real mind fuck right now for me, so something I'm dealing with. But anyway, just look at this thing. It's so fucking gorgeous. This is a knife I actually bought on the secondary from a guy. I traded my I had a Gavco one-off custom, not my Nurse, a different knife, and I just wasn't into it. I had paid $900 for that, and I traded that plus $200 for this knife. So I'm $1,100 into this. This build right here would probably cost you $750, maybe $800, because it has a Zerblast on the scales, which was done by somebody else. That's why it's not as dark as Oz's Zerblast, which I really like. I have taco bearings in here right now. I've tried all different kinds. I figured taco makes the most sense because you're riding on steel washers instead of the titanium like they normally do. Yeah, it's just an amazing knife, guys. Left-handed, I can slow roll it out with the thumb. As long as I don't get in the wrong spot, I can reverse flick it lefty. But you'll see there, it's a really heavy flick because I'm putting pressure on the lock bar. If I go down here, it's much lighter. So my thinking is if I have it updated to the new version, not the new version, but the new lighter detent, he just puts less pressure on the lock bar, I think. I don't think the lock bar relief is different. But then if I put pressure on it, I would get the perfect flick, basically. I don't know. That's my theory. I'm tempted to do it, but I'm also tempted to just get another one that's newer. Because the action is still good. See there? It drops, but then you got to give it some shakeage down. It's still extremely smooth, much like the Burger. Not quite as smooth, but very close. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I just would like to be able to pick it up and just flick it and not ever feel like I'm missing it like that, you know? And I'd be able to do that with the other detent system. So that's my theory. Anyway, these are a beautiful knife. Amazing builds. They are now going for lottos a couple times a week. He drops them on his website, which is cool. Books are closed. That is the Oz Machine Company Roosevelt coming in at number 2 for your 500 plus category. Number 1 should be no surprise to anyone. This has been my favorite knife this year. I believe, buy this early this year, and I believe it was made in like December 2020, so I'm counting it for 2021. This is the CKF Evolution or Evo 2.0, an absolutely gorgeous, mean, beautiful piece of freaking art. This thing has just taken over as like the just best looking knife I've ever seen. And that's man, the last 4 are just absolutely stunning knives. And that's why they've stuck around the whole year, or, you know, however long I've had them. This knife is an ergonomic dream, actually. It's not perfect because it's a little skinny up here, but I like how it's skinny and then gets fatter. That's kind of how I like knives to be, instead of being, you know, tapering all the way down to nothing. This feels so comfortable in this grip. You can hold it back here, and it's comfortable. Just feels like you're a ways away. But the stunner here is that blade. Look at that hollow grind. I mean, it's absolutely just gorgeous. It's mean. It's got an edge from Jared Neve, of course. A beast with a whetstone or whatever. Look at that. You have a vertical belt satin here and a stonewash up on the flats. I have skiff bearings specifically for this knife in there. I love that it's T10 hardware and T20 pivot. And my favorite thing, well, other than the action, which I'll show you here. Right-handed, it drops, boom. And I just cleaned this and tightened it, and I made it pretty tight because my nail is getting jacked up. You are dead nuts centered. The coolest thing is this clip. Look how big it is. Being left-handed, I've just never had an issue flicking this knife. Just beautiful. Other than when I first got it and I was an idiot and I was like, how do I get up here and flick it? Like, I always flicked like this. And then I learned to climb down on the clip. I got to give a big thanks, actually, to Lavender Pants for giving me that tip. That was like, man, that must have been in like February this year. Crazy how we grow and learn and things change, right? But I can ride that clip so easy. So as a lefty, this knife basically is a line, like feels like a liner lock sort of, right? I don't ever lock it up. I never have any issues. I do wish this knife had a little bit of a stronger detent. Sorry about the lighting. I don't know why the camera keeps dipping in and out, but a detent I feel like could be stronger. It's good, right? It's good. It's just, it's not as satisfying as, say, the Roosevelt, where it thunders out of there, right? It kind of thwacks out. It's good. It's just not excellent. But that drop shut and the thumb flick is absolutely fantastic. These blade stops are sexy. Some people have complained about the jimping being rough. I love the jimping on this. I just love the look of this knife. It's mean, right? Absolutely love this thing. I love that this one has the cool or crazy carbon fiber from CKF, and it's totally milled out as well, the carbon fiber. They made this thing so light, and that's what I love about it, is the fact that it's so sort of, it's not even that big. It's 3.5-inch blade, 8-ish overall. For such a mean, thick, big-looking knife, it's actually lightweight, guys. Like, it seriously can't weigh more than 4 ounces. I've had all 3 variants of this now. When I first got it, I got the plain tie, and then I actually won in a lotto. I got the dark tie all over, so it's like this on both sides. And the hand rub blade with the Damascus pivot and clip. I won that. I sold it. Now I wish I would have kept it, but, doesn't matter. But I still prefer this version. I just wouldn't have minded having 2. This bark pattern finish on the lock side is just gorgeous. I mean, there's just not much to not like about this knife, unless you're just not into the look of how mean it is, right? But this thing really sparked, as well as the F5.5, just sparked my love for sheep's foot. And I gotta say, guys, I think this was the year of the sheep's foot. I feel like we had a lot of really good sheep's foots. At least I was checking out a lot of them. But that's your winner, guys. That's your 500 plus category knife of the year winner. And guys, it's going to be really hard to beat this as knife of the year overall, but we shall see who wins. It's going to come down to the Asher Nomad. I'll show you right now. This is going to be the knife of the year battle. Budget knife of the year, Asher Nomad Titanium and M390. 100 to 250 category winner was the Mallory Designs Forest. Absolute beast. And look, I mean, very similar. And then your 250 to 500 range winner was the EMP EDC Nimble, which I have 2 of, actually. So then you have the Evo right there as your winner of the 500 plus category. So guys, it's going to be a really, really tough battle here. We'll see who wins this one, but that's for another video. And shout out to the Oz Roosevelt coming in at number 2, the Trevor Burger, LEXK, CFL coming in at number 3, the CKF, sort of the brother to the Evo, Satori 2.0 coming in at number 4, and the Hoback Sumo coming in at number 5. I love you guys so much. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will catch you later.